It is the middle of the night, and there is a face in your room. You didn't mean to wake, but your eyes are open now, and across the dark, something is looking back. A shape by the wardrobe. A head. Shoulders. The unmistakable sense that you are not alone. Your heart is already slamming before your mind can catch up. You reach for the light, and the figure collapses into what it always was. A coat, thrown over a chair. A shadow. Nothing. You laugh at yourself. But notice that your body isn't laughing. Your pulse is still racing, your skin still prickling, because some older part of you is not yet convinced. You call it an overactive imagination, a childish fear you never quite outgrew, a glitch. But the real answer is far stranger. That face was not a mistake. It was your brain doing exactly what 100,000 years of evolution built it to do. And that same trick may be the reason you are alive to be frightened at all. Let me show you how it works. Somewhere behind your eyes, you carry a piece of hardware built for one job. Finding faces. In the 1990s, a neuroscientist named Nancy Conwisher at MIT pinned it to a specific patch of brain tissue, a region she named the fusiform face area. It sits low and toward the back of your head, and it does almost nothing else. It looks for faces. And it is fast. Faster than thought. Before you have consciously registered anything at all, this region has already scanned the scene and asked its single question. Is there a face here? Consider how much your brain has invested in this. Of all the objects in the world, faces get their own dedicated machinery. Not hands, not trees, not food, faces. That tells you something about how much they mattered to your ancestors. A face was the difference between friend and stranger, between the group that would feed you and the rival that would kill you, between a mother and a threat. Reading a face correctly and reading it fast was a matter of life and death for millions of years. So your brain built a specialist and gave it a hair trigger. But here is the strange part. It doesn't wait for a real face to answer yes. Give it almost nothing and it will still fire. 2 dots and a line below them. A power socket. The front of a car. 2 windows and a door. Your brain sees a face instantly, whether or not one is there. You have a name for this without knowing it. That feeling of a face staring out of the clouds, the moon, a piece of burnt toast. Scientists call it pareidolia, which sounds complicated but means something simple. Your mind finding faces in things that have none. Why would a brain be built to see what isn't there? Wouldn't a good detector only fire when it's sure? A researcher named Kang Lee at the University of Toronto decided to catch the brain in the act. He placed people inside a scanner and showed them images of pure visual static, random noise, the kind of gray fuzz an old television makes with no signal. But he told them that hidden inside some of the images were faint faces, and their job was to spot them. There were no faces. Not one. It was all noise. And yet, people saw them everywhere, faces surfacing out of the grain. And when they reported seeing one, Lee watched the fusiform face area light up, the very same region that responds to a real human face looking back at you. The brain was not detecting a face. It was manufacturing one. It took empty static and built a person out of it, and it felt every bit as real as the genuine thing. So your face detector is not a careful, cautious instrument. It is eager. It leans toward yes. And in the dark, when there is almost nothing to see, that eagerness becomes something powerful. Because a brain starved of information does not wait patiently for more. It guesses. To understand why it guesses the way it does, you have to think about mistakes. Not all mistakes cost the same. Picture your ancestor, asleep on the ground 100,000 years ago. There are no walls, no door to lock, just skin and darkness and the open night. A shape moves at the edge of the clearing. The brain has to make a call with almost no information, and it can be wrong in 2 completely different ways. It can decide the shape is a predator when it is only a branch. That mistake costs a jolt of fear, a wasted burst of adrenaline, an embarrassed laugh in the morning. Or it can decide the shape is only a branch when it is actually a predator. That mistake costs everything. You do not wake up. Do you see the imbalance? One error is cheap. The other is fatal. A psychologist named Marty Hazelton built an entire theory around this idea, called error management theory. When the price of 2 possible mistakes is wildly unequal, evolution does not aim for accuracy. It aims for survival. It deliberately tunes your brain toward the cheaper error, even when that means being wrong far more often. So your brain made its choice a long time ago. It would rather frighten you 1,000 times over a coat on a chair than stay silent, the one time it is a lion. Every false alarm is the sound of a system that is working exactly as designed. The fear is not a malfunction. The fear is the feature. But this goes deeper than faces, because what really wakes you in the night is not just a shape. It is the feeling that the shape is aware of you. An anthropologist named Stuart Guthrie spent years studying why humans see minds everywhere in a book fittingly titled Faces in the Clouds. And other researchers gave the instinct behind it a name. They called it a hyperactive agency detection device. Strip away the jargon, and it means something you already feel. Your brain is desperate to know whether the things around you are alive, whether they have intentions, whether they can act. And it errs, again, on the side of yes. Think of the rustle in the grass. Your ancestor who heard it and thought, that is the wind, sometimes walked on and was fine. But the ancestor who heard it and thought, that is something alive and it wants me, was the one who froze, who fled, who survived to have children. Over countless generations, the calm ones were quietly thinned out, and the jumpy ones, the ones who assumed a mind behind every movement, became your family tree. You are the descendant of the ones who always assumed something was there. This is why darkness is so uniquely powerful. Light gives your brain information, and information calms it. But darkness takes the information away and leaves a vacuum, and your mind cannot tolerate a vacuum. So it fills the empty space with the single most important thing it knows how to imagine. Another mind. Watching. Because for your ancestors, the most dangerous thing in the dark was never a rock or a tree. It was another creature that could see you before you could see it. Now step back into your bedroom. The doors are locked. You are in a city, on a high floor, behind walls, with nothing in the night that wants to eat you. You are, by every measure your ancestors would recognize, impossibly safe. But the machine does not know that. It has no idea the world has changed. It runs the exact same program it ran on the open plains, in a room where the only predator is a dressing gown on a hook. The coat becomes a man. The shadow in the hallway grows a face. The pile of laundry in the corner acquires shoulders and a quiet, watchful patience. Your ancient detector, built for a world of teeth, is firing in a world of soft furnishings, and it cannot tell the difference. This is also why nearly every child on Earth fears the dark, whether or not anyone teaches them to. Have you ever wondered about that? No parent sits a toddler down and explains that the darkness is dangerous. The fear arrives on its own in children who have never faced a single real threat in the night. Because it was never learned. It was inherited. It is vigilance handed down, arriving fully formed, long before the child has anything real to be afraid of. And notice how specific the fear is. A child is not simply afraid of the dark itself. The child is afraid of what might be in it. The monster under the bed, the thing in the closet, the shape at the end of the hall. It is never the emptiness that terrifies them. It is the possibility of a mind hiding inside the emptiness. That is the agency detector, already switched on, already filling the void, in a person who has been alive for only a handful of years. And once you understand the detector, you start to see it everywhere, not just at night. The face in the electrical socket, the man in the moon, the figure you catch in the corner of your eye that vanishes when you turn. That uncanny sense of being watched in an empty room, the one that makes you glance over your shoulder for no reason you could name. All of it is the same machinery, always running, always leaning toward, yes, forever asking its two ancient questions. Is there a face? Is there a mind? So what do you do with this? You can stop being ashamed of the fear. That jolt in the dark is not childishness, and it is not weakness. It is one of the oldest and most loyal systems you own, still standing guard over you every single night, long after the danger has gone. It is the accumulated caution of every ancestor who trusted the shape before they could be certain and lived because they did. The next time you wake and something is standing in the corner, watching you, you might feel the old terror rise. Let it. But know what it truly is. It is not a stranger in your room. It is the inheritance of 1,000 generations who survived the dark, reaching forward through time to shake you awake, just in case. It is the middle of the night, and there is a face in your room. There was never anyone there. There was only a mind that loved your survival too much to ever risk staying silent.